recorded, which means please don't say anything stupid. Um, anything that you don't want your grandma uh, to know, you probably shouldn't talk about it here. So I want to talk about that. We are going to talk about thriving in a down market. Before we get onto that, I want to just share a thought with you because I've heard this from some people that I'm actually consulting with. Is AI cheating? It was a very interesting question because I've got people who I've got some friends that have kids in these prestigious private schools in New York, and they'll actually get expelled if they're caught using ChatGPT, which I completely understand. But let me give you some thoughts on the real world, working life, and all of this. Everything is cheating until it's not. Okay. For those of you who've been around long enough, and I think many of us have, you might remember a time in school where using a calculator was cheating. Anybody remember that? Show of hands? A couple. Yeah. Okay. Good. Corey, thank you. Jonathan. Yeah. Jonathan goes without saying. We know that. You know, we remember that calculators were cheating. We know that using certain computers and certain programs was cheating. We know that there was all sorts of things that went on that was actually considered cheating. And I would say this, that what we're seeing right now, um, all the guests that registered for this meeting, I was able to go into my email, open up all the emails, swipe down and copy everything, and then put it into ChatGPT and say, now extrapolate this particular information and make a spreadsheet out of it. And it did. Some might call that cheating. Um, just keep that in mind that what is cheating today is not necessarily cheating in the future. Now, that said, I'm not a big fan of cheating at all. I am a big fan of getting stuff done. And I think that much of this and much of what we're talking about today is really trying to A, optimize what you're doing and how you're doing it, and B, being able to um, access that information and being able to get yourself mentally prepared for the hardship that I think we're really going to go through. I really see a lot of stuff going on in the economy for many, many markets challenging. Greg, I just muted you. You could unmute if you want to talk, but I just muted you. So I do see that. I mean, I'm hearing that from a lot of you that that you're seeing some challenges, you're having a harder time getting clients, getting buyers or sellers. And first and foremost, I want to make sure, did everyone get the download? Did everyone get the spreadsheet, the workbook? Daniel, if you don't mind putting the workbook into the chat several times during the meeting so people, there we go. So if you want to download that, it's right there, How to Thrive in a Down Market. And it's an opportunity for you to really gather your thoughts. When I was in communications, I owned a PR firm. We had something called the crisis audit. And I think it's very similar to what we need to do with our business now. The crisis audit is take a look at where you're liable, where you're vulnerable, and where your assets. What's going on with all of that? It's a great exercise to do even when you're not in a crisis, by the way. But I think in a time when you think things are uncertain, in a time when you think that you don't know about commissions, and it doesn't matter what business you're in, to be able to take a critical look at how you're going to be able to grow is extremely important. So let me just unpack that for a second here. Um, and you could follow along. And again, if you have questions, you could feel free to unmute and jump in and ask them. I think, let me just get these folks in here. Okay, so understanding today's market, that's going to be a real thing. A lot of you don't understand what's actually happening in your market. Who wants to give us a stab out? What is the home price appreciation or deflation, do you suppose, in 2025? Does anybody want to have a guess? Maybe Jonathan or maybe Corey? I won't call you out on a negative answer here, or even Fabio, who's in Brazil, or Andrew, who's in New York, or Daniel's in the Philippines. We love this little global community we have here.
We're up. This is Corey. I'm in New York on Long Island. We're up about 5%.
Okay, thank you, Corey. So you're up about 5%. We'll talk about volume in a second. Andrew, what do you think?
Well, I think to answer your question, in my opinion, is it's really market specific. I think the Southeast is having some sluggishness and the Northeast is actually holding steady or increasing.
Okay. So how are you holding up?
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question
No, no,
then.
no, no. You answered the right question. Now I'm
Uh,
taking it a step further. You did great.
I just switched firms, and I'm happy to report that four customers immediately moved with me. So I'm working actively with a couple buyers, and I've got a couple listings coming. And I feel like unless something wildly unexpected happens, even more so than has with respect to the stock market, I feel like I'm on track for my best year ever. So that's
Okay.
uh, which I don't know is common, but all of it is SOI business that I've been working on for years, and I don't think it relates to what's going on in the market specifically.
Look, when the economy tanked in 2009, my wife was thinking about going back to work at that time. She worked in retail. And I said to her, we really um, could use the income. I mean, I know that you're raising the kids and you're busy with all of this, but so what happens? She's in retail. What's the likelihood that she's going to actually work in a in retail? I mean, does anybody remember how shitty 2010 was? Am I the only one? It was a pretty crappy time for stores. Okay, so what actually happened? She applied to six different jobs: Armani, um, all the different Polo. She applied to all these different jobs, six different jobs, got six offers. Okay. Now, why could that possibly be? Because good is always needed. She's great. She really is. Now, of course, I've got my bias. She's my wife, and I've got to live with her and all that. But that said, it also happens to be true. She is great, and she was able to do that. I think, Andrew, that you are projecting the same type of thing.
Mhm.
You're not selling a, um, you're not Coca-Cola, that has to count on every bottle that gets sold across the country. You might need, how many deals are you hoping to do this year?
Uh, 25 sales and then a bunch of rentals.
Great. You want to do 25 sales. That's it. So if you do five less than that, you've got like a big discount on your own income. I mean,
Hmm.
based on your own stated objective. It
Yep.
is not the biggest thing in the world. So what you need to do is reverse engineer this stuff. How are you going to stop and think through what it's going to take to actually get those deals and where are they coming from? Well, you'll hear me say this a lot. I tend to joke about death. I'm always scared of it, and I think that we always joke about what we think about. It's what we're scared of. It is a huge factor in real estate because by default, that property is being sold. Isn't that true? That property is being sold. Death, destruction, financial ruin, divorce, great stuff for realtors. It really is. Now, it's not something that I'd want to broadcast out to the whole world about how great that can be, but it is something that you need to consider shifting and leaning in on. If you think that there's a particular market, Andrew hit the nail on the head. If certain aspects of the market aren't working, you need to learn how to pivot. If my country club work, which I value very much, is going to have a problem in this economy, or if I've lost the snowbirds because of the seasonal change, we've got to lean in on the people that need to get established here for school. Now's the perfect time for that, by the way. Isn't that true? So we've got to stop and think through. What I really want you to do, if you get anything out of this meeting today, is to learn how to think a little bit more strategically about who you're selling to, when you're selling it, and why, and what you're going to need to do to get through. Again, anyone could jump in on this. Days on market. Anybody know what the average days on market in their respective areas are? I mean, again, on a notwithstanding what I just said, it does matter. You are able to try and get this up. Okay, maybe you know, maybe you know, don't. Other questions. What are the inventory levels compared to 6 months ago? And where are the interest rates? Well, we were all going to count on this great interest rate drop, but it doesn't really look like that's going to be the case, at least not right now. So once again, you got to pivot. Does anyone think interest rates have been, Jonathan, do you think interest rates have been normalized? Do
No,
people now look at 6.5 to 7% as like a good thing?
I think that normalized ultimately is going to be between 6 and 6.5.
Okay. So, and ultimately, but do you think the consumer, and maybe Robert Lee wants to jump in on this as well. Do you think,
Yes, I think consumers are no longer looking at 3 and 4% mortgage rates as attainable. I think that they're no longer saying that interest rates are going to drop dramatically.
okay. We're building a little bridge, guys. So that's what we've got to figure out. If all of these are ingredients into whether somebody's going to buy or not buy, you need to stop and think through where the assets are, where the liabilities are, doing a crisis audit. Okay. Who knows the perfect pitch to someone who's like, well, I'll wait for interest rates to go down. Anyone ready for it? Okay. Evel Knievel couldn't make that. Jonathan, you want to give a go at it?
What I typically tell our clients is number one, interest rates today are not historically high. And number two, you're buying the property, you're not buying the interest rate. If interest rates go down, you refinance.
Yeah, exactly. If interest rates go down, name another investment where you could do this. If interest rates go up, you're paying less for the home because you've actually locked in a lower rate. If interest rates go down, the property value is going to go up. Either way, you're going to win. We need to get that message out there. Now, are there certain subtleties within that you could argue with? Of course there are. But we're looking at what the package is. What do you need to develop in this market to be able to sell people? Because you're going to get every fucking excuse that exists out there. You really are. You're going to get every bloody excuse that people feel. And you need to be able to come up with the answers before they're asked. Great news. Go to any frequently asked questions page on any reputable website, and 95% of the questions that you have are already answered. They really are. Everybody wants to talk to somebody, but the reality is you're not unique. Every question that you have comes up over and over again. Date the rate, marry the property. Oh gosh, I love that, Doreen. Date the rate. Doreen, you want to just chime in on that for a second?
Well, I mean,
Before you do, tell everyone who you are and where you are.
I'm currently sitting in my house in Delray Beach, but I am with the Boca office, and I am Doreen Brunner.
Okay, very good. Good to see you. So tell us what you think about that and where you got the adage, where you got that saying.
I'm not quite sure where I heard it, but I did hear it, and might have even been from a mortgage broker. But essentially, what I love about it is that you don't really have to worry at this point what the rate is. If you love the house and and it checks all of your boxes and you are financially ready, this isn't going to last. And it may not go to that 2.5%, but at 5.5% or even 6%, it's not hateful. When we purchased our first house, I believe it was close to 13%. Okay, I'm a little bit old, but I mean,
you're not. You're experienced. There's a difference. Stop. You're not old.
My kids call me vintage.
Well, you know what? Wait a minute. Wine is better when it's aged. Antiques, old furniture are antiques. Older cars are classics. Why do we get better? I don't get it. Do I want to go with somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing? Of course I want. But believe me, older's better.
I'll take it.
Good. So continue. What were you?
Well, I just feel like it could move. Will it go up? We don't know. Will it go down? We don't know. But if this is the home and you've been waiting a long time, now the picking is better than it's ever been for nearly 7 years now. So don't let this be a setback. And I pretty much have been able to talk them off the ledge when they say, oh, well, interest rates are going to drop. They also believe that, everything is going to go belly up and we're going to have another 2010 where, they're going to be able to grab a house for 150,000 because the bank owns it. So it's a reality check. It's a conversation. And I think it's just an ongoing conversation. So I say, just date the rate. Okay. Anything can happen.
Autopilot, please remember that for my notes. I always dictate what the AI needs to remember for me. Here's another thing for you to think. Let's go on the other side of this. Let's go on the selling side. The seller, you got a listing that costs too much money. It's a $3 million home, absolutely beautiful. In this market, it's worth 2.3 or something dramatically less. Anybody ever experienced that? Probably nobody in this meeting. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sophia. We did it. Come on. Yes. You've seen that. What do we say to those people? Again, this is your list of frequently asked questions, guys. This is what we're going to produce this and get this out to you. So you're going to be prepared to talk to anybody at any time. What are some of the things? But it's not going to be just me. You're going to help me collectively build this list. So when somebody says to you, well, the neighbor sold for this a few months ago, or they think their home is worth X, Maybe Lisa in Scottsdale wants to jump in on this because I know you've had experience in this. What do you say to that person who wants to keep their price home overpriced?
Price is a moment in time.
Price? Okay, expand on that, Lisa, and tell everyone first who you are and where you are.
Oh God, I can't. I gotta take myself off camera. Hang on.
You're gorgeous.
No, I'm not. I I'm getting ready to
And I mean that in a
get out
professional,
of bed.
totally
I'm going
non-sexually
for
harassing way. Okay.
go for a walk. I'm in at Lisa Murray, Scottsdale, Arizona. Um, yeah, well, price is a moment in time, like stock, like anything, right? It goes up, it goes down, and nobody's going to pay you $20 for a $10 bill.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one pitch. I like it, but it's still hard for me to accept as the seller. Who else has got an idea? Let's massage that a little bit.
Edmund, I have some
Oh,
thoughts here.
Robert, tell everyone who you are. First of all, Robert's my new buddy. He was speaking on at an Element conference on a Zoom meeting last week, and we immediately kind of hit it off. We're kind of kindred spirits when it comes to technology. Why don't you tell everyone who you are and where you are, and then talk about what you're about to talk about.
Yeah, so my name is Robert Lee. I live outside of Atlanta. I am technically a realtor, but I'm a marketer first. I've been doing marketing and I do a lot of work with AI and marketing now. And so the question I'd ask for somebody is, okay, you're convinced your property is worth $3 million. Tell me in your mind, who is most willing to pay you $3 million for your property? I mean, Edmund, you talked about reverse engineering here. Reverse engineer back into that. There is somebody out there willing to pay $3 million for a property, but you have to market to them. You have to speak to them. People
Sure.
buy lifestyle. People don't buy interest rates. People don't buy bedrooms. They buy lifestyles. They buy solutions to their lifestyle. So, who is the person that you believe would pay you $3 million? If they can't answer that question, help them answer that question, and then go out there and religiously offend everybody that's not willing to pay 3 million and make love to everybody that is worth 3 million is basically it, right?
Okay, that's certainly that's certainly an approach. I like the last part there. That's kind of good. Ah, Lavette, everyone, Lavette's raising her hands. Lavette gets a star. Hi, Lavette. You gotta unmute Lavette.
Okay. Hi. Hi,
Hi.
everyone. This
Tell
is
everyone who you
Lavette.
are and where you are, please.
Lavette Bell from Norfolk, Virginia.
Great,
How are you?
great, thank you.
So I'm currently dealing with an overpriced listing, and I think I made some sense to her yesterday. I told her uh, what did I tell? I told her, I said, if we are priced above the comp sales, especially because the house needs some cosmetic updates, I said, especially in need of cosmetic updates, we risk being viewed as an overpriced listing rather than a value-rich opportunity.
Hmm.
So she bought it.
She bought it. Well, so she listened to you, her professional's advice. Is that buying?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay. You didn't pull a fast one over on her. It's your job to get the place sold.
right.
So that's good. Okay, good stuff, guys. You could write this up. If you know the questions before they're asked, you're going to be far better off in answering them. Just know that. Corey's nodding. I like that Corey's nodding. Yes, that it's a subtle nod, which is yeah. So that's but it's really true that if you know in advance where those questions are going to be, you need to know your vulnerabilities. Darn it. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's going to come up over and over and over again. The time to think of the answer is not when the question is asked. Just know that. Write that down. The time to know the answer is not when the question gets asked. Ask that question in advance. And we've done Zoom meetings about this before, how you could role play with AI now and really make the AI the worst bastard you've ever spoken to. I mean, there's stuff that you could really make them really, really tough. And you could even feel the emotions that you would feel. I've got into an argument about some geopolitical issues with the AI, and I felt myself getting angry. And I said to myself, I'm getting angry at a machine. I'm getting angry at something that's not real, that doesn't feel, that's not anything. Who cares? So it does have a great ability to help you practice in a safe space that we've never had this before. So think that through. That's kind of important. Let's just go through this list a little bit more. Again, I really hope that all of you download this book because it will stop and force you to think this through. Okay, client psychology in a down market. Identify their three fears or from buyers and sellers, who's got an idea of what some of their fears are at this point? Once again, you could learn a lot from fear. Okay, Corey, go ahead.
They have nowhere to go.
That's a big one. Wow. Corey, you get a star. I like that. Okay, I've got nowhere to go. Okay, who's got the answer to that? Maybe Leah or Marlene, or Marlene's on a choo-choo. I saw that she was on a train. Um, who's got an answer to I have nowhere to go?
So we have a client that they didn't.
First, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Leah from the Boca office.
Yeah.
So we had a client that said, I have nowhere to go. And we said, well, you know what? We can help you find something. And we actually went with them, found a house that they love, and we put it in contract, their house that they love, contingent on the sale of their house.
We've got that right now as well. You see that, guys? You got to think beyond this. It's got to be contingent on the sale of their house, or conversely, you can make it contingent on the finding of a home. Now, I can't tell you that that's the better way to do it. It's not. I mean, is that a fair statement, Leah? You'd much rather just sell the property.
Of course, but if you have no options, that's trying to figure out a way to get them to list the house and find them what they want.
Exactly. Guys, that's why we earn the money. I mean, I really love putting up my $10 million listing, and I hope the guy walks right in and buys it, and then I could take Aton for a lobster and everyone's happy. And, I love all that, but it rarely works that way. Every now and then you luck out. But for the most part, we work our asses off. That's why I find the whole settlement with NAR so offensive. If you think about it, just to digress for a second, if you break any of these rules, the first punishment, anybody want to have a guess? It's a $5,000 fine. It's a $5,000 fine for some of these NAR rules that if you get broken. Did you know that for agents that actually make money, and most of us don't, the median income is $55,000? Can you imagine 10% of your income for the year is the first violation? Can anyone name any other career that has such a penalty? It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's just, so we are oftentimes treated like absolute crap. And we need to really learn how to stand up for ourselves and get focused. Okay, going right along here. Who has some more commentary on this? Anyone? Ferris Bueller? Ferris Bueller? Anyone see Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Andrew saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Good movie. Okay, Greg saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Good stuff. More fears. What are some of the other fears that that was a good one? That whole I have nowhere to go. What's another fear? Oh, okay. Hi, they're waving hi. That's great. On the choo-choo. Very cute. Who else has a fear? Andrew, any fears that you've encountered by buyers or sellers?
I do.
Deneen.
Thanks.
Deneen, tell them who you are and where you are, please.
Hi, I'm Deneen. I'm in Newport Beach, California.
Great.
Coastal Orange County. I think buyers, I'm sorry. Their biggest fears are going to overpay, buy something that's, they're going to pay too much. I mean, that is a real fear.
And how do you tackle that?
Well, in this market, our prices are still going up. So I just go over the last 30 years of purchase power. And gosh, in the last 8 years, I think it is, our market's gone up like 60%. So
okay,
kind of easy to prove.
Kind of easy to prove, but doesn't that mean, Deneen, could I play devil's advocate for a second? See how you do here?
Sure.
Okay. Oh, well, it's gone up 60%. That must mean a correction is coming.
No, we've got supply and demand. There's more buyers and not enough property in today's market.
Simple, easy. Will it always work? No, it won't always work. There's going to be some people, this is not about constantly winning. I really wish that was the case, because some of you have had people come back and say, hey, I did what you said and it didn't work. Okay, sometimes that's going to be the case. I'm not giving you a shoe-in. What I'm saying is I'm trying to heighten the best probability of your success. That's what this whole thing is about. That's what this whole thing is about, is trying to heighten the probability of success. We must embrace the failure rate. And I think in a down market, you need to accept that you're not always going to win, but it doesn't mean that you don't try. And it doesn't mean that you don't zero in and stay totally focused. And like Andrew, hit your 25 deals in the year, or figure out just what you're going to do. Andrew, he knows if there's 4 quarters in the if there's four quarters in a year, he's got on average more than 6 deals per quarter that he's got to accomplish. Now he's probably sweating here. I don't know. I mean, well, same here. I've done 4 so far. My team has done 4 so far, and we're well into the second quarter. So I'm behind. But the only one that I'm going to be like ashamed of or annoyed with will be myself. It's not because I put out to all of you that I'm going to break a 40 million again this year. It's not going to be because of that. All of you, I dare anyone to say, call me loser at the end of that for trying. Okay? Put it out there. There's nothing wrong with it. If you're going to break the deal, go and break it. Anyone have any, so we saw the seller's fears, we saw the buyer's fears. I want to go through this a little bit more. Any other thoughts about what a fear might be?
I have one.
Terry, go ahead.
That by the time, and this has happened to me, I had a couple were selling their co-op so that they can move into, they moved there 14 years ago. They want to move to a doorman elevator building, get more square footage. They deserve it. They worked hard in their lives and they deserve to upgrade. And the plan was to sell their place because we'd be looking at these new places and they would just be a smidge beyond what they needed to put a down payment on a new place. So the plan was sell their place. They lived there for 12 years. They're going to make a boatload of money on it, put it in the bank, move into a rental for a year, and then we can safely and take our time finding the new place. Mm-hmm. Where they want to live is a very popular part of Brooklyn around Grand Army Plaza and Eastern Parkway. Just dozens and dozens of really big buildings, pre-war, everything that they want. There has not been a 2-bedroom listing in the 3 months that we've been working on this, which is unreal because there are literally hundreds of apartments in these buildings. Where is it? Where is that thing for them to move to? So they're scared that by the time that we sell this and they move into a rental, that their money will not get what they want because things will have advanced beyond the place where they would be able to afford something. And sure enough, last week, a 2-bedroom in probably the least of the buildings along Grand Army Plaza came on. It's the building that has no amenities. It's small. It's got a good address, but that's it. Mm-hmm. It came on at the very top of their budget and was the smallest thing that we could have looked at. So how do I assure them that things will pop up?
Well, they will.
Oh, well, which is what I said. The dam is now broken and there'll be a lot more listings that come on, but you are now in the same place that you were before and that you have to sell to buy.
No, I get it. Well, here's the thing, notwithstanding what the CEO of Anthropic said, I don't know if any of you are using Claude, the CEO of Anthropic feels that within 10 years, we may be able to cure all disease, including cancer. We may be able to extend human life by 100 years. And some other people at OpenAI agreed with that. Some other people at Google kind of agreed with that statement, even if they're far off. I'm like, I'm going to be 57 next month. My God, another 100 years of this shit? I mean, don't get me wrong, I kind of love life, but that's a long time. I mean, my financial advisor did not account for 100 years. I'm just telling you, my retirement plan has been death for a long time. But you need to anyway. I didn't mean to go down that route. Seeing Greg's laughter kind of got me a little sidetracked there. But Dorian says sending letters to the building you want, saying you have RWA. Help me with the acronym RWA?
Ready, willing, and able.
Sorry, thank you. Ready, willing, and able buyer if you have a 2-2. Okay, we've done that as well. By the way, just to digress for a second, did anyone go to the absentee owner thing last week? The meeting absentee owner? Nobody went to that? Okay, we've got it. A couple of you did. I think we have a great video on it in the archive. Maybe Daniel, if you have it, you could put that up for everyone to go to. It's on rainnation.com. And we had Andy Neal speak about it. Some phenomenal ideas of what to tap into. He thinks that the Canadian market is a great place right now because a lot of the Canadian sellers are looking to sell, and he gave a very compelling argument as to why. We took it to heart and we started our own campaign. We're reaching out to 500 different absentee homeowners based on that information. And if you want to wait till we spend my money to see if it actually works, I'll be able to report back to you how that is. But I do want you to consider that. I'd like you to get the business by default. If it's a tough market right now, I'd like to figure out the people that must sell. That's why, there we go. Thank you, Daniel, put it in there. Unlocking the absentee owner gold mine. Big stuff. I also want to digress one more moment. On Friday, we've got neuroplasticity in the real estate world. You know, all the stuff that you believe has been put into your head. Everything. Whether you're conservative or liberal, you're not as unique as you might think. Whether you like a particular food or dislike a particular food. It answers a lot of questions. If any of you are Trekkies, you know, as I am on Star Trek, I still watch it on YouTube. At the end of every episode, we're talking about the TV show, not the movies. Okay, the TV show made from 1966 to 69, or to 70, something like that. Anyway, they made 74 episodes, and at the end of every episode, the very last thing you saw was this face. You could go watch it now, and it looked like this. It was at the end of when they showed the credits. Terry's laughing because he probably remembers the face. My sister scared the shit out of me with that face when I was a kid. Okay, I was my older sister's afternoon activity. My older sister here? No, she's not here. She scared the daylights out of me. Guess what? To this day, I can't watch it. To this day, I know that it's just a silly little face. It can't. I have a very hard time because why? There's been some type of message that's gone into my head that I can't seem to undo. Well, I don't really care. I mean, I probably could if I tried, but that's neuroplasticity in a negative sense. So the question becomes, what can we do if you have a big fear of making cold phone calls? There's a message that you got from mom and dad growing up that isn't serving you very well right now. Maybe we won't blame mom and dad. My psychologist said, don't blame mom and dad. And I say, why? It's all their fault. It can't be mine. Anyway, neuroplasticity for realtors. It starts at 12 o'clock on Friday. That's 9 a.m. In California, given the California's break. We're going to get that message out to you today. I hope that you can make it. Okay. Thank you, Daniel, for putting the absentee owner thing here. What else? Where are we? Where do we leave off? I'm getting so excited here. I'm getting jazzed up. Anyone? Hedeka? Kenny? Greg? Fabio? Alicia? Somebody chime in. Nobody knows what to say. No?
Think of the fact that you've got a live mic in front of you, and I just don't want to.
Somebody's listening to my recording there. That was Sophia. Okay, moving right along here. Let me just get to some other things. Mindset. Again, this goes right back into this. When you actually make your calls, one of the things that I'm doing, and I talked with Eitan about this. He's my partner in this great adventure here. He's living high right now. He happens to be in Florida now. Usually he's in Portugal. But what I'm constantly doing, what I've done with ChatGPT is something that you could do. If you have tasks, you could put into ChatGPT that you want to accomplish a certain set of goals during the day. I've got a prompt that if you email me privately, I will give it to you. I'm not going to put it up in the post here. You need to email it to me privately. If you have an account on ChatGPT and use it as much as I do, the answers might piss you off. It's literally holding a mirror up to you about what your shortcomings are. And I didn't like it. And it was all true. And it was all true. I didn't like it whatsoever. All of it was true. And it made me get so motivated to kind of correct some of those shortcomings that I decided to put a task into ChatGPT to text me or email me 3 times a day, checking in on the different points that I need to accomplish on a day-to-day basis. You know, what are those things? If you are saying to me that you can't make 10 calls a day because, you know, whenever you pick up the phone, you just can't do it. So subsequently, you don't do anything. I say this, make 1 call a day. But damn it, make it. I don't care if you're like bleeding. Make that call. Make that call. Get it done. You have to actually find something that you could commit to that's going to be the minimum standard for you to actually work. So I think that that's something to think about. So confidence while presenting to affluent clients. On a scale of 1 to 10, you got to rate yourself. 1 being a wimp and 10 being completely in control, or reverse that. I don't care. Rate yourself. The ability to view market challenges as opportunities. Are you a fatalist like me that you think that the world is going to fall apart and you're going to be really, freaking out? There's a strategy for that. If anybody here is shy, you've never been shyer than me. You might be surprised to hear that. You've never been more scared than me, but I've just chosen to go through the fire. I get nervous every time I host a meeting here. I feel as though nobody likes me. And then you get evidence of people saying that they don't like you. And then that makes me very sad. So please don't say that. The comfort level dealing with difficult clients. What's a strategy around that? For me, it was building a team. I'd rather share my commission with a team than deal with certain characters that I'll just tell them to buzz off. I know where their shortcomings are. I know what's going on with that. People have said to me, my God, how could you deal with that client? The answer is if I had to deal with them on my own, I never would have dealt with them. I would have thrown them out the window. I mean, metaphorically speaking, not actually speaking. That would be bad. Okay, and consistency in prospecting activities, regardless of the market. What I don't want anyone in here doing is giving up. That's the easiest thing, and it's a cop out. You just can't. So if you're really having a really tough time, call me up. I will slap you silly, again, metaphorically speaking, and we can find a route that actually works for you. Remember, real estate is 1/8 of the gross national product. Did you know that? That 1/8 of the money spent in this country, anyway, has to do with real estate. So knowing that this wide group, you're not what I said to my wife when she was looking for the job in 2009, 2010, you're not looking for 1,000 jobs. You're looking for one. Well, she got 6 offers and six interviews. It worked out really well for her. So just stop and think that through for a minute. You're not looking the naysayers are going to kill you. You're going to hear what everyone's saying, all the horrible stuff. It's just please, as soon as you feel like crap, call me. I will tell you, that we need to make an attitude adjustment. Because here's the thing, what if I'm wrong? You're no worse off. If you're blindly assuming that you're going to succeed, than if you're not. So I think it's very important that we take that attitude. What specific knowledge sets you apart from other agents? Yes, market ingenuity. You got to stop and think through. And if I could add to that, where are your competitors vulnerable? I'm not saying to throw them under the bus, but damn it, throw them under the bus. Get your name out there first. Get yourself up there where they could see that why you are the alternative and really truly live that. I think all that is really, really important. Okay, I really would love for you guys to follow this. We're going to go to wants, needs, and brags in just a second. Okay, we got Evangela from Greenwich just joining us here. Wants, needs, and brags. Now's the time in the meeting to talk about what you want, what you need, and what you'd like to brag about. I thought I told everyone before. We got, the big man from the Philippines coming here next month, spending a couple days in Boca Raton, Florida. Never met the guy in person, 6 years working with me. And my guy's coming here. That's something to brag about. We're going to hopefully do a couple social media posts if he lets me. And that's something that I've got going. Oh, I also picked up a $10 million listing. So that's pretty good too. Wants, needs, and brags. Who else has got something to want, need, or brag about? It could be about their kid. It could be about a charity they're involved in. It could be that they just feel good today. It could be, come on, guys, help me out here. Sophia, you've been quiet the whole meeting. Help me out, Sophia. Come on. You too, Alicia. Can you unmute? You got to unmute. There you go.
Okay.
Now we can.
Hi, Sophia.
Where are you, Sophia?
I'm in Florida. I'm in Boca Raton.
Oh, cool.
I'm a vacation realtor.
Okay.
I guess I'm bragging because I'm doing well.
Good.
I've got listings, I've got listing appointments, and I've got buyers. I feel like maybe this might be my best year, even though it's just the beginning of the year.
Fantastic. Okay, so go lean in on that.
Oh,
Guys,
really heavy.
you see how easy that was?
I've got a buyer's package. When I meet my buyers, I give them a nice package with information on myself, how to proceed in the whole market and buying a home. And I've also got a nice package for my listing presentation. So it seems to be very attractive to my sellers. and to my buyers. It keeps them like, wow, she knows what she's doing.
Great, good stuff. If you feel like you want to share any of that, what helps you in Boca could help Kenny in California, could help Robert in Atlanta, could help Evangela in Greenwich. Again, if you want a proprietary, that's fine. FYI, on the private Facebook page, we do have a repository with all these great little goodies. So if any of you want to download that, you could talk to me after. I could show you where it is. Robert, you unmuted yourself. Do you have something to brag about?
Yeah, so $20,000 in sales of our marketing system in the last 6 days. So signed an agent up in New York, and we just signed a local chamber of commerce yesterday. And this could be, it's $20,000 in the bank now. Over the next year, could be $100,000, and I don't have to work more than a couple hours a week for it. So
Okay. See that's it. He's got that grin on his face. I like that.
it feels good, man.
I'm happy for you. Be happy for everyone's success, even your competitors. It gives you permission to actually do stuff. I got to tell you, a lot of you like get too jealous and too annoyed. Don't do that. Be happy for people. Life is short. I think it's a good thing. I'm happy for you, Robert. That's good. It's not that he's a competitor, he's a friend, so it's a good thing. Anyone else wants, needs, or brags?
Hi, it's Leah from
Leah,
Boca
please
office.
brag to me.
So, well, I don't want to brag. I want to, I want. How about that?
Okay, please.
So we just added 3 team members to our team, and we are looking for lead sources that you feel that are working for you guys. Something that you have noticed that you're getting the opportunity to work with sellers or buyers or anything like that.
Okay. Anyone want to have a go at that? All right, how experienced are those people, Leah?
It depends. So one has been 3 years working in the business, one has been also 4 years in the business, and one is new.
Okay. I think you know what I'm going to say. I'm a farmer. And after this, I've got a lunch, I've got meetings, I've got drinks. I try and take a person to lunch every day. Again, if they have no budget, we can find other things. A drink after work suffices as well. I believe no one gets invited anywhere anymore. You could be like Terry and go to Starbucks. Terry, I don't want to talk about that. Terry, you talk about that. Tell everybody what your little Terry, we're calling it the Robinson effect.
Is that what we're calling it? Okay,
I'll call it that, sure.
I'm walking
Good
out
work.
to my car, so please walk along with me.
Okay.
Every Wednesday, from 2 to 3 p.m., I go to the local patisserie because I don't want to be there after 3 o'clock when the kids from school will come in, and I don't want to buy them coffee. But what I do is I buy everyone's coffee at this patisserie from 2 to 3. You know, you buy your own pastry, but by doing this, I am able to get in front of people and say, "Hi, I'm Terry. I am your neighbor." And, because of the pandemic and such, we have not been able to talk. So let's talk. And it has gotten me into brownstone pitches. It has gotten me into, it just shows me as the neighbor who knows the places to go, and the local real estate agent. I'm plugging my car. Sorry.
Of course.
So that's what I do on Wednesdays from 2 to 3. And it has been helpful.
Oh, but it's so expensive, isn't it, Terry? That was the leading question. Go ahead. Oh, he's frozen. I think he spends about $100 every Wednesday, or I don't know what he spends. When he unfreezes, he'll be able to tell us. Oh no. Either that or he's standing very still.
Also invaluable for guerrilla marketing. So,
So what do you spend? Terry, you froze up while you were getting in the car. What do you spend on your coffee budget every week?
50, $75.
Okay. So less than $100.
It's not bad.
So guys, it works. Why does it work? Because here's the thing. You think you're marketing, you're not. You know what you're doing? You're speaking to the same people over and over again that have said no or that are friends. You're calling what's safe. What Terry's doing feels dangerous to most of you, even though it shouldn't. And if we could get you, again, coming to the meeting on Friday about neuroplasticity, if we could get you over that, you got a real good shot of winning. So one other thing I will tell you, I've told the story a bunch of times. I absolutely love it. A friend of mine has been sober for now 31 years. He goes to AA meetings at least once a day, 7 days a week, sometimes twice a day. He's a big part of AA in his life. And I think he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. Whenever he calls me and he says, "Hey, Ed, I've got someone that's moving to Florida." "Oh, wow. How do you know them?" He goes, "How do you think I know them?" Now, these are people that are obviously open about their sobriety. Otherwise, he would never say that. He keeps sobriety very, very sacred, and the meeting's very sacred. But if you stop and think about it, the AA meeting is the perfect place. Now, why? You got a new group of people coming in all the time. So you're meeting new people constantly, which is something that I'm preaching to all of you always. You also have a core group of people that are coming in that you're building a relationship constantly with. You also have a pledge to help one another, that you really need to be there for one another. The whole notion of having a sponsor is very big. Now, watch, everyone here is going to run out to an AA meeting. I'm not saying to do that, although the meeting is filled with liars and cheats, so you might want to, I don't know. But the point of the story is this, that by default, there are things that come up. And I got to tell you, every alcoholic that I've met that has been in the program has said the exact same thing to me. All of their clients are from the program. They get so much business from that. So if you could replicate that, whether it's with a sorority or fraternity that you might be a part of, whether it's with a church or synagogue that you're a part of, whether it's some type of thing that does exactly those three things, build a core relationship with people on a consistent basis, meet new people on that consistent basis, and have some level of commitment to one another to try and help one another out. That's really it's just remarkable because the guy does nothing else. Now, he's very sincere. It's been 31 years that he's been sober. He's very sincere to that, and I'm not telling anybody to go and lie and do all that. What I am saying is that it is the perfect model that should be studied. Whether you like that or not, again, somebody feel free to throw a cow at me, but I do believe that. Okay, anyone else wants needs and brags before we get Terry to Terry, you driving safely?
I am driving safely. Yes, I am.
Okay, we've got Terry driving safely, and we're going to have him sing us out in a minute, and then we could just do some one-on-one questions if anyone has questions afterward. Anyone else want to give a want, a need, or a brag? I see a couple of you just joined. We did start this meeting at 9, but welcome. I'm glad to have you anyway.
Edmund, can I mention a
Please,
couple of
Doreen, I've
listings?
been waiting for you.
Oh. So I've got one really great single family home in Lotus Palm. It's 5 bedrooms, 4 bath. It's on for 2.3. And I've got 3 oceanfront properties, condos. They're all 2-2. They're under $1 million, and they're in the Highland Beach area. So one of them is a turnkey. It belongs to a designer, and so everything that she's chosen for herself, she lived in the unit for a long time, is going to stay with the unit. So if you have anybody, reach out, and I'd love to do a deal with you.
I'd love to do a deal with you as well. And actually, Lotus Palm is very interesting. I will speak with Daniel, if you could remind me to speak to Dina about that. We do have buyers that are looking. I mean, it's on the MLS. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if we saw it already, but we will give it additional scrutiny as a result of you saying that. So thank you for that.
Great. Thanks. I appreciate that.
I had something to share, Edmund.
Who's this?
Alex, how are you?
Where's Alex? Where's that? Oh, Alex. Okay. You came from the same account as Leah. So hi, Alex.
I live
husband and wife team, guys. It's really cute.
Yeah, so Leah and I are out of the Boca office. I'm over here working, just listening to the conversation. So I don't know if it's a need, want, or brag, but I listen to a lot of what you say, and then I do a lot of things that do make me nervous sometimes. And when it does make you nervous, you kind of know you're on the right path. Because there's a growth, and then kind of like what I did yesterday is what I know I could do tomorrow, I'm afraid. I'll give you a perfect example. I had a client of mine who was asking me about some new development in one of the areas that we're in. And I was like, that house already went into contract. He said, can you call the agent and ask him who the buyer is and how it went into contract and under so quickly? I'm like, this guy's not going to give me any information. I was like, I wouldn't give anyone information. He's like, well, call them. I was like, okay. Call the guy. Guy doesn't pick up. I leave a voicemail. Doesn't call me back 2-3 days. I was like, okay, you know what? Let me call this guy again. Call this guy again. He picks up. Nicest guy. Gives me a ton of information about the house. But it turns out that he's a developer. And he's actually looking for somebody to help market his properties. And, in the Southeast where we are. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I was afraid to call the guy. Okay, but then the conversation went so nicely that we're meeting for coffee in the next couple of weeks to see maybe we can build a relationship and see where it goes from there. And I'm like, you know what, with with things like that that happen, because you never really know what will happen when you make that phone call. You just have to keep making those phone calls and get that fear out of there, because you never really know what's going to happen when you say hello. And it works out pretty good. And I just say to everybody, like Ed says, make that phone call, get on the phone, even though you're fear, so the guy hangs up on you, but make another phone call. Big deal. So at least you learn what you said last time didn't work. Listen, change, move forward, do different things. You'll see you have so many opportunities. There's so many people out there. And I guarantee the person you call this week won't even remember you next week because they get so many phone calls. So you can call them again too.
Sure. That's a good point. Listen, you've got, I think it's really, really important to recognize that the repetition does matter. I think it's also important for you to recognize that the human capacity for brands, you think you know so much, you just don't. And I've done this so many times, but I think it's worth saying. If I asked you to name a cola, you would probably say Coca-Cola. If I asked you to name another cola, you would probably say Pepsi Cola. Okay, don't answer this, but show of hands, anyone know what a third cola is? And it's not Dr. Pepper. Okay, it's not
I'll see.
Sprite. Okay, a couple of you know another cola. Andrew or Greg, you want to tell me another cola?
RC.
Sure. RC Cola.
Okay, who knows
And a moon pie.
what?
And a moon pie.
And a moon. Okay, I don't know that. RC Cola. I never heard moon pie, but moon pie, great. It's a cola. Knock yourself out. Does anyone know a fourth or fifth cola?
Shasta.
Shasta. You've heard me say that before. Okay, Shasta. The point of the story is this. In real estate, there's Coke and there's Pepsi, and then there's everything else. And you can't be Coke or Pepsi to 100,000 people. It's going to be very difficult for you to get there. But you can be Coke or Pepsi to 1,000 people. That's why I'm a farmer. So if I could make everyone in this meeting become Coke or Pepsi to their 1,000 people, that's where the marketing actually comes in. People do not have a memory for too much stuff. They simply don't. And if you recognize that, it's incredibly inspiring because you could get beyond that from a marketing standpoint. That's my sermon. That's what I got to say. We're going to get to Terry. You ready for me?
Yeah.
Okay. When Terry says, "Oh yeah," it makes me look at all of you and say, "It sure is good to see all of you today. I'm really glad that you made it, and I hope all of you could come this Friday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, for another exciting episode of
Brand Nation."
The sound effects weren't so great there, but Terry, I love you. It's always good to have him sing us out. If Terry wasn't there to sing us out, we would be stuck all week in this meeting. Guys, the meeting is over. If anyone has additional questions, I'll stick around for a couple minutes. Thank you so much for coming, and I do hope that you can make it on Friday. Okay, cool. So what's going on? Anybody have any AI questions or anything that you want me to jump in on? Maybe.
Ed, do you only use ChatGPT or do you use other AI sources?
Oh, thank you for the question. My favorite go-to is Claude, which is by a company called Anthropic. I think, and Robert answered that as well. It is far superior from both a versatility standpoint and an answer standpoint. I think it's amazing. In fact, right now I am programming an app using Claude. And what I do with Claude, I asked it, if you were going to start an app company, what are who would I have on a team if I wanted to build a company? And it gave me 9 different categories: operations, technical, customer service. It gave me like 9 different things. So what did I do? Claude has something called projects. And within each project, I developed a personality for each person. What do I want that particular project to answer when I feed that question into it? When I feed something into it. So on the technical end, how should I build this? I ask it. Well, if you're not a real coder, you might want to go to bubble.io, or you might want to go to any number of codeless programs. I chose bubble.io. There's something else called Lovable. So I chose that for whatever reasons. I won't go into my reasoning for it. Terrific. This is what I wanted to do. And it starts to spell out what goes on. What else do I need to do with this program? You start talking to the AI about what is needed to build that app. And then I make the other projects aware of what each project is doing. I've got legal, great legal. Based on all of this, can you write out a terms and conditions for usage. That's something a lot of you ignore. You really shouldn't. People get sued all the time for that. So it starts to make those changes. And then I will put that in and ask the AI, based on these changes, do we need to update it? And it will. Now, there's no excuse not to talk to a qualified attorney every now and then about all this stuff, but you could do most of the heavy lifting. Here's another thing, Corey, that you might want to consider. After you've gotten a big chunk of work done with ChatGPT or with any app, if you think you've spent too much money, ask the simple question: based on the work that we've completed during the session, how much time have you saved me? And explain. With what I'm doing right now, 15, 20 hours done in 1 hour. And I believe it. And I'm looking at what this thing, it's made me so efficient. Robert knows it made you so efficient in what you're able to actually do that if you plan it the right way, which is why I always say it's always cheating until it's not. This is going to be the norm. This is going to be, and I'm just trying to get you and everyone in this meeting to adopt it as fast as possible because the AI has the ability to give you and enrich you and do so much. But if you completely ignore it, you will be run over like a locomotive. I swear to God. I mean, that is just, and it's not like some distant future thing. It is now. And the great news is um, most realtors are just ignoring that fact. If you don't, you immediately put yourself in the 95 percentile. I really mean that. You're just going to be there. I and my staff collectively worked 6 hours last week. That's four of us. Okay, so four of you, four AIs, Robert, or four staff?
No, four actual people
Worked
did
collectively 6 hours.
collectively worked 6 hours, and we did enough work that would have taken most people 40 hours in a week to do.
40 hours each.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And you make a living.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? And look, this is not a place for people who are afraid to work. I work my ass off, but I enjoy it. I want to do the work that actually matters. I want to do stuff that actually matters. But Robert and I, again, are kindred spirits. Both have daughters. I'm a bit ahead of him with their age.
And I
Edmund, I
mean,
have
I
a
should,
question, if you have a
Please,
second.
Evangela, go ahead. Go right ahead.
So I just started doing digital geo farming, a campaign, and I'm just
Sure.
wondering if you know anyone that's done it and if they've been successful with it.
I mean, it's been in the marketing mix. Like, for example, I did it one year. I really should do it again. There was something on Snapchat that I learned about from my daughters, where you're able to put a fence that around that area, like specifically around
Right,
St. Andrews Country Club with the pool. And when the girls
right,
are Snapchatting, it will have a sticker advertising the Edmund Bogen team. And I actually got into a conversation with the parents when they got a laugh out of the fact that they saw my sticker on their kids' Snapchat. Uh,
right.
so
Yeah, there's a company called Logic IQ, I think.
mhm.
I'm walking the dog. And so, I mean, I'm paying big dollars. I'm hoping that it pays off. And so, exactly that. I've put a fence around like certain country clubs, in Greenwich. And then I've also, my farm where I farm, I'm also doing the streets that I farm. So I'm just kind of curious if if because you're the go-to person for this stuff. I'm just wondering if you know anyone that's done it, that's had success. I just started. I'm in month one, so I
Sure.
don't have anything to really say at this point.
I'll just say this, and Robert can lean in on it as well afterward. I would say there's no magic bullet, but it should be part of your marketing mix if you like it. In other words,
Right,
do that, but also make sure they get your snail mail. Make sure
right,
they get your email. Make sure that they get your ongoing social media campaign. Start a real estate group. I mean, I told all of you I started new to Boca Raton, Delray Beach, and the surrounding areas as a Facebook group, and I've got 13,000 plus people in it. And when you join that group, you're asked, do you rent, do you own, or are you planning to buy? And maybe one out of 15 are planning to buy. And by the way, would you give us your email address to be added to our email newsletter? Well, boom, that's called a lead. It's not the strongest lead, by the way. It's not the strongest lead because I mean the masses I think kind of suck. I really do like to get up close and personal with people, but it is a lead and it's one more brick in the wall for you to work on. Plus the content is something that people really do like. Robert, you want to chime in? Do you agree, disagree?
No, no, I mean,
Disagree, by the way. I'm wrong all the time. I mean, it's fine.
no, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? I mean, a lead is an email address. You obviously have to nurture that lead. The thing I always tell people is don't get focused on the tactic you're using. The tactic is relative to the audience you're trying to communicate to. At the end of the day, remember, our business is people. We serve people. We don't serve neighborhoods. We don't serve households. We serve individual people as much as we can. So if you're going to geofence, understand why somebody lives in that neighborhood, why, if you want to get listings, why somebody would want to leave, what sort of neighborhood they would want to go to. Because again, people aren't buying homes, they're buying lifestyles. People aren't buying marketing, they're buying revenue generation. They're buying lifestyles again at the end of the day. So I think it's a good tactic. Just understand why you're talking to the people you're talking to and ask yourself why they would listen to you. And then if you do that, then your tactic really becomes part of your mix, and that mix is predetermined. I mean, what kind of gives me a little consternation is you say, I don't know if it'll work or not. You should have a good idea of how you define what works and what doesn't. You should have a good idea of why it's going to work, what you've implemented. And then if it doesn't work, you can figure out why that's the case. So
fair enough.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, guys, I really hope that you can make it on Friday. We've got other topics that are going to be coming up. We will be leaning in on a lot of the new technologies that are coming out there. I don't mean to be too harsh about saying where we're going, but to me, to Eitan, I'm sure to Robert, and anyone who's been living in this, it's just it's so unbelievably clear that it's just so unbelievably clear where everything is actually heading and what the consumer expectation is going to be. And the good news is that you're still in the infancy here. This is not too late. I'm not asking you to fly a rocket to the moon. I'm just asking you to slowly adopt some of these things to be able to build your business and your career using some of these tools. If we haven't gotten together in a while, let's do that. Definitely reach out to me, and I hope to see all of you real soon. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, Eitan. I'll call you, Eitan.